We have some games with interesting art styles, follow-ups from seasoned developers, and a number of unique titles in the other games section this week in new releases, so let's begin with Kingdoms DAC, a card-based survival city builder where you are in charge of a medieval city and have to defend your realm, expand your kingdom by day, and protect it from sieges by night, using a deck of cards to select from and place structures, manage resources, and deploy units, with every decision influencing the prosperity and resilience of your domain. Cards extend to active combat abilities which you use in the defense phase, and has replayability stemming from procedurally generated events and enemy attacks, with a fantastic voxel art style as well. On paper, one of the most hyped entries of the week is Conquest Dark, a Vampire Survivors style action roguelite but with fancy modern graphics, similar to Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell, both looking like modern Diablo-style games, which is part of the appeal. It is your classic dark fantasy action RPG in which you choose from a champion who performs dark rituals to summon and battle cosmic horrors. Each hero is unique with their own playstyle, which adds variety, condensing down the action RPG experience into self-contained play sessions where you go from puny and weak to godlike power within a run, having demoed extremely well, so here is the early access. Love anime waifus, Rebellion God Soul Awakening will be the next title of note, a card-based JRPG with visual novel elements where you play as an otaku in the dystopian dream city of 20x1, where corporations dominate the internet and AI has eroded personal freedoms. However, as a rebel, you are linking up with rebel girls to share your love of otaku culture, never bowing to the oppression of reality. I believe this is from a Chinese developer, so the Steam store page translation seems a little rough, speaking of link people and using the power of God's soul to defeat evil, but I'm not sure how that plays out in the story. But there are over 40 of these characters to add to your party, each possessing distinct abilities and storylines, allowing for deep relationship building that unlocks powerful transformations and exclusive cards. The card-based combat looks interesting as well, and critically, despite looking like a gacha game, this is supposed to be a one-time purchase with no microtransactions, so if you love RPGs, this might be of interest. A long-in-development turn-based tactical roguelite is Star Vaders, mixing Into the Breach and Space Invaders, where you control a mech pilot defending Earth from relentless alien invaders. This mixes turn-based tactical combat on the grid with some roguelite deck building, taking place on a vertical grid where enemies descend from the top and your objective is to prevent them from reaching the bottom rows, since that increases your doom meter. Move your mech, attack and use skills and abilities to destroy your opponents while managing a heat system that limits the number of actions per turn. Overheating can lead to burnt cards, adding a layer of strategic depth to each decision. The game features multiple mechs and pilots, each with unique abilities and playstyles, with progression in the form of new cards, artifacts and upgrades, enabling powerful combos and looks like roguelite fun. Love indie games? Sign up to my newsletter to get a weekly dose of what's hot, along with some news and of course, weekly game giveaways, so if interested, link is in the description below. I'm not usually a voxel person, but Castlecraft did catch my eye this week, an ambitious looking sandbox defense title where you have to construct and defend a kingdom's stronghold against relentless waves of enemies. This has base building, resource management and real-time strategy elements within a fully destructible environment, with two primary game modes: Wave Defense, where you must fortify and defend castles, and Creative Mode, which allows for unrestricted building and experimentation. You will get access to over 80 architectural elements, 20 unique trap types and 18 distinct weapons, meaning that you can create intricate designs as you plan your defensive strategy. As you build and expand, you will eventually be able to automate resource collection and construction so that you can focus on strategy and real-time defense action, which will be critical as enemy forces adapt and evolve, looking kinda fun and could be huge. Smaller games begin with Dark Pact, a sweet-looking pixel art entry whose developers asked the question, what if Into the Breach had a full campaign? meaning that this is a turn-based tactics title with a focus on tactical positioning and using the environment to your advantage. In addition to direct damage dealing abilities, you will get access to a range of options which can push, pull, taunt, or otherwise control enemy movements, where pushing enemies off the map into lava would probably be an instant kill. Each enemy attack is telegraphed and you have perfect information before making decisions on your own action, where you do need to consider your party of characters as well, which includes a knight, a mage, a rogue, and a cunning fox, each with unique skills that synergize to create devastating combos. There will also be a variety of enemies with different behavior, from cowardly goblins to explosive skeletons, adding another layer to the strategy, and is the hidden gem of the week. Here's an interesting looking title in Despelot, a first-person slice-of-life semi-autobiographical adventure game in which you play as an 8-year-old boy exploring the streets and parks of Quito, Ecuador in 2001. A pivotal year where the nation stood on the brink of qualifying for its first ever World Cup. It looks to capture the essence of childhood and the profound impact of soccer on a community. As you dribble, pass, and shoot your soccer ball around town, you will encounter characters which you can have genuine interactions with, as well as a good dose of childhood mystery and how the beautiful game captures the hearts and minds of people. And while personally soccer is not my thing, I do understand the appeal and this looks very unique. My runner-up for Hidden Gem of the Week is Edigard, a fantastic looking third-person action-adventure RPG set in the plague-ravaged fjords of 16th century northern Norway and draws upon Norwegian and Sami folklore. This has an open-world structure where you play as a shape-shifting mercenary confronting mythical creatures like trolls and influence the delicate balance between rival clans vying for power. You can transform into a variety of creatures such as bears, wolves, and lynxes, each offering unique abilities for combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. Central to all of this is that you can reclaim, restore, and upgrade cursed farms into thriving settlements, with each reclaimed area presenting distinct challenges and opportunities, looking impressive even if the shape-shifting animation, or lack thereof, is kind of underwhelming, but understandable. A chaotic-looking multiplayer party game is Farm Your Friends, in which you play as a farmer who has to grow crops for sale, but can also sabotage your opponents. This has up to 8-player support, both for team-based modes as well as individual free-for-all, with matches being set at 5 minutes, with the main goal being to sell the most produce. You can plant your own crops or steal from rivals while deploying traps like poison, handcuffs, and explosives to disrupt them, in addition to scarecrows and electric fences to help protect your own farm from intruders. Random events like shark attacks, zombie invasions, and treasure hunts adds unpredictability to each match, so you might want to get this for your next multiplayer session with friends. I came across Free Ride a while back and thought that it had an interesting art style, but at the time had the subtitle The Personality Test, where your actions in the game would eventually give you some sort of test results, so I thought it was kind of a weird release, but in the months since then, they got picked up by publisher and PR agency Future Friends Games, and has removed the personality test part in the title, although that is still in the game, and now has framed themselves as an oddball RPG and has a bunch of hype behind it. You play as a passenger aboard the Fate train, embarking on a surreal journey to the spirit world and encounter a quirky cast of characters along the way. The spirits have their own unresolved issues, which you can help with using physics-based telekinetic powers to interact with the environment in creative ways. The narrative unfolds through branching storylines, influenced by both conscious choices and unconscious actions, culminating in a personality outcome that reflects your in-game decisions, with a cool art style as well, and will be of interest to narrative game fans. Another very interesting looking title which caught my eye is Icaria, an automation colony builder in which you take control of a robotic colony on a procedurally generated alien world, tasked with building and automating a self-sustaining settlement. In contrast with the other factory builders, this leans more on the programming and automation aspects, allowing players to design factories, manage logistics, terraform landscapes, and explore diverse biomes using a visual scripting system. You can program robots to perform tasks such as resource gathering, crafting, and transportation, enabling efficient colony expansion. It has a voxel-based environment with terrain which you can influence, where more and more of the map is revealed as you play, with advanced technologies to unlock, although at least based on the Steam page and trailer, I do not see any instance of hostile aliens to battle, looking to be a pure automation base builder in that sense, but to what end I wonder. We also have the release of K2 Digital Edition, a digital video game adaptation of a well-regarded physical board game in which you take on the role of an expedition leader guiding climbers to conquer some of the world's most formidable peaks. This is an official licensed adaptation offering a strategic turn-based experience that challenges players to balance ambition with caution. There are 4 main modes, including a single-player campaign as well as regular matches with CPU opponents with 3 difficulty levels, as well as both real-time and asynchronous online multiplayer. You must navigate dynamic weather conditions, manage resources, and make critical decisions about when to push for the summit or retreat to safety, with each mountain or map introducing unique challenges and rule variations, requiring adaptable strategies. This includes all official expansions, with digital board game conveniences such as an interactive tutorial, colorblind accessibility options, and automatic enforcements of the rules, instead of having to constantly refer to the manual, and looks like a good one of these. An awesome looking cozy life sim title is Little Sim World, in which you are new to the city of Little London, settling into your new life in this vibrant hand-drawn world. Customization is the name of the game, where you can choose your lifestyle, build your dream home, make friends or frenemies with quirky neighbors, and live life your way. You can personalize your character's appearance, traits, and routines while exploring a seamless open world filled with diverse activities and charming locales. From decorating your home with a vast array of furniture and color options, to engaging in hobbies like fishing, painting, and cooking, plus a cast of unique NPCs with romance options, this looks like a good life sim experience, even if the characters do look kind of Roblox freaky. We also have the release of Maze Mice, the next game from the developer of Luck Be a Landlord, and they are looking to experiment with a new subgenre of the roguelite, where time only moves when you do. You play as a nimble mouse navigating a perilous attic maze teeming with feline predators, collecting dots to level up Pac-Man style, but also utilizing upgrades, power-ups, and special abilities along the way. These include regular projectiles and lasers to fire on enemies, leaving a trail of fire after you move, and more, and is something fresh in this genre. Developer 5min Lab Corp is best known for the one-hit kill twin-stick shooter Kill the Crows, and they are back with Private Military Manager Tactical Auto Battler, where you are the CEO of a PMC operating in the fictional, politically unstable South American nature of Cordivia during the 1990s. You only have indirect control in this game, where you are recruiting and training mercenaries, managing their schedules and equipping them with appropriate gear, then throwing them into the mission to see what happens. Combat unfolds through realistic simulations, where your tactical planning and management decisions directly impact outcomes and looks strategically interesting, but do note that this will be an early access release with about 40% of the full story, 5 hours of story mode, and 15 hours or so in the free play mode in this initial release, but it looks like it has potential. Sirocco is an interesting release since it draws upon a Warcraft 3 mod named Battleships, and is a 5v5 naval combat MOBA that does look like Dota or something, but with ships. This is down to the fast-paced combat and tactical use of complementary abilities with your team, but is supposed to have no fixed rules and hard counters, allowing you to flex your creativity when it comes to strategy. There is an auto-fire mechanic and de-emphasizes last-hitting creeps, with every ability in the game being a skill shot which you need to aim, so they are attempting something different in the MOBA space. This will be free to play with, I presume, cosmetic microtransactions, but I don't know, it seems like MOBA players have calcified in their preferences and there isn't any real way to break into the duopoly that is League/Dota, so kudos to this team for trying, and here's wishing them all the best. Skin Deep has plenty of potential as well, since this is a first-person immersive sim FPS that seems to have some death loop vibes, but I don't believe there's any time loop element here, where you instead play as a cryo-frozen operative awakened to deal with space pirates aboard hijacked cargo starships. You are in a disadvantaged position from the get-go, outnumbered and outgunned by your enemies, so you need to think creatively to maximize your chances of success. This blends stealth, improvisation, and dark humor in this non-linear, first-person sandbox environment in which you are using non-traditional items to deal with a variety of situations. And while traditional firearms are rare, you might have to get into shootouts if the situation calls for it. With the sandbox nature, emergent storytelling, and sheer number of ridiculous options presented to you being the key features. Roguelite deck builder fans, Skulkdown should be of interest, another entry in this genre with a cool art style, but more interestingly, is set in a surreal Norwegian town during the 1990s, where the townsfolk have inexplicably gone mad. This draws upon the childhood experiences of the developers, having turn-based deck-building combat in addition to the point-and-click style exploration of the world as you attempt to figure out what is going on, uncovering a Carpenter-esque mystery across multiple runs. Storytelling in roguelites have taken on a new life in a post-Hades world, so I'm eager to find out how it is done here, having over 300 unique cards and a diverse cast of recruitable followers, including bodybuilders, priests, and pyromaniacs, looking like quite the unique title. Another curious entry for the week is Stickman Strikes Conquer Fantasy World, where you have been transformed into a stickman due to a dragon's breath, embarking on a quest to reclaim your original form and restore order to a chaotic realm. The contrast between the stickman character and the otherwise regular medieval fantasy characters is interesting, with this single-player action-adventure RPG being inspired by Meteor Butterfly and the Blade, which is a mobile title, as well as Sekiro, but with streamlined controls, so not a Souls-like, I think, but where you are conquering castles, plundering territory, and leading a squad of units through a richly detailed fantasy world. In addition to the Dynasty Warriors style large-scale clashes, there are one-on-one fights as well, in addition to dungeon exploration, treasure hunting, trading, farming, and crafting, and looks like it has potential. Impressive considering that this is from a solo developer as well. Following the success of Among Us, developer Innersloth spun up a publishing arm named Alter Sloth, who is funding interesting titles, with one of the games out this week in The Horror at High Rook, an occult card crafting narrative RPG where you play as an occult investigator dispatched to unravel the mysterious disappearance of the aristocratic Acheron family within their eerie Victorian mansion. This looks almost like some sort of tabletop board game where you manage a team of unique characters such as the Mechanist, Plague Doctor, Scholar, and Thug, each possessing distinct skills and vulnerabilities to hunger, injury, and madness. Explore the haunted mansion, uncovering secrets through letters and artifacts, and perform occult rituals by combining characters, items, and locations to craft tools and potions, with the non-linear crafting system being central to all of this. It also has a gothic horror atmosphere inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe, and Bram Stoker, drawing from the classics, and looks great. We have not one but two live sim titles this week, where we are looking at 2Pixelia here. One that, of course, uses pixel art, where you are, again, a newcomer in the vibrant, open-ended city. You are free to explore and live how you like, choosing from a multitude of career paths, hobbies, as well as character customization options. This allows you to define your appearance, personality traits, and lifestyle, ranging from musician, politician, chef, hacker, or even the president. The sky is truly the limit in terms of what you can do. Funnily enough, the trailer does show that in addition to the busy city life, you can also head to the rural countryside and start a farm or something, growing crops, raising animals, and so on, allowing you to do both in the same game, which is interesting. There will also be interactive mini-games for activities such as cooking, writing, and so on, with of course a romance and dating system for you to find love, looking like a good one of these. A title with a very interesting look is Wagon, which does bear some visual resemblance to Return of the Obra Dinn, but is not by the same developer, and is a 1-bit card-based survival strategy game where you try to survive the winter on the Oregon Trail. This is set in 1845, where you are the wagon leader, with the mission being to keep your people safe and alive by making difficult decisions to endure the unforgiving frontier. You must manage critical resources such as food, warmth, and shelter while contending with hunger, illness, and the encroaching cold, with a unique card crafting system allowing you to collect and utilize cards to build shelter, hunt for food, and perform rituals to appease mysterious spirits offering aid, looking awesome, and it's so indie games. I don't have any particular nostalgia for this next title, but if you grew up with Flash games like me, perhaps you would have come across the Warfare games now being re-released on Steam as the Warfare Legacy Collection. There are 2 games here in Warfare 1917 and Warfare 1944, now enhanced with modern visuals and full screen support, with a new campaign named Battle of the Bulge, featuring missions set during World War II's final offensive, complete with snowy terrain and intense front-line action. Where Armour Games has also been working with Flash game developers to make PC versions of their classics after the death of Flash, so it's preservation with a little bit of nostalgia if anything. This one's for indie game developers. The free indie game marketing resources are ready, so sign up via the link in the description below to get it in your mailbox. I was quite surprised to see Badlands Crew show up on the list of new releases, since this is from the developer of Bomber Crew and Space Crew, the former being a very popular action strategy simulation title with an almost FTL style of real-time plane management, where of course in this new entry, it is set in some sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland instead. Play as a battle wagon commander leading a crew of survivors on your customizable vehicle as you confront hostile factions and rescue innocents. Similarly, this is a strategy action hybrid with real-time crew management, vehicle customization, and tactical combat, where you can equip your battle wagon with various components and weapons such as flamethrowers, sniper turrets, medical stations, and more, adapting to diverse threats like acid rain, sandworms, and rival warlords, with a dynamic campaign map which evolves based on your decisions as well. This next title kind of came out of nowhere, where the Steam page for Dead Zone Rogue was created in October 2024 and has more than 10,000 Steam followers as of recording, and is one of the top 200 most wishlisted games on Steam. So I am a bit suspicious to say the least, but we'll see when this roguelite first-person shooter releases in early access. You play as an amnesiac operative awakening aboard the derelict ISS X, where you must battle through hordes of rogue machines in fast-paced combat. There will be over 30 modifiable weapons featuring elemental effects like fire, ice, lightning, but also radiation and void, with a variety of augments, perks, and permanent upgrades to offer you flexibility when you play. This includes the stealthy approach, range firepower assaults, or even close quarters combat, looking pretty sleek in that Destiny/Borderlands kind of way, where the one big name that I can think of in this space is Gunfire Reborn, so maybe this will fill that sci-fi setting gap. We have the next title from the developer of My Friend Pedro this week as well, which is titled Shotgun Cop Men, one that looks to have an equally absurd premise and visual style. where you play as a determined police officer on a mission to arrest Satan himself, navigating the fiery depths of hell in this punchy, crunchy, son-of-a-gun, precision 2D action platformer. The gimmick here is a unique movement mechanic where firing your shotgun propels you through the air, making your weapon essential for both combat and traversal. As you fire your weapon, you will get propelled in the other direction and have to use it to strategically move through the level. This will have over 150 handcrafted levels filled with demons, traps and challenging obstacles, complemented with intense boss battles. There will be optional challenges like no damage runs, speed runs and kill all enemies objectives, also having a built-in level editor for more replayability, looking to have Hotline Miami or Butcher vibes as well, and looks great. A pretty sick looking top-down action-adventure title is Moroi, in which you are an amnesiac prisoner, a lot of that going around this week, trapped within the Cosmic Engine, a surreal, ever-shifting hellscape where reality bends and grotesque inhabitants blurs the line between ally and adversary. This has some gnarly looking visceral combat that looks like blood and guts action mixed together with dark humor and environmental puzzles. You will gain access to cool weapons like chain swords and arm-mounted cannons, with the puzzle and exploration aspect looking neat, since you can perform occult rituals that often involve unsettling tasks like drinking blood or digging through viscera in order to open up certain options, and while not explicitly a roguelite, will have multiple endings that requires multiple playthroughs and has quite the amount of potential. Welcome to the dystopian future in Keyborg, where you play as a wrongly convicted criminal sentenced to 1,300 years on the galaxy's most brutal prison planet, where death offers no escape as inmates are endlessly revived to serve out the remainder of their sentence. Your only hope is to survive The Last Ticket, a deadly televised game show that has you fighting your way through the prison to get to the roof, where supposedly there is a shuttle there which is the only means of escape. This is a fast-paced third-person roguelite brawler that offers you a variety of combat options where everything from melee brawling, traditional firearms and cybernetic augmentations are viable in the procedurally generated arenas teeming with mutants, machines and rival convicts. You can customize your playstyle by installing implants, unlocking augmentations and experimenting with mutations to create powerful synergies, and apparently will have, I quote, millions of possible combinations and countless potential viable builds coming to us from the developer of Redeemer, so I expect combat to be excellent. Watch this week of new indie games once again with a number of grimdark titles, demos to try, third person and 2D action-adventure titles and a lot more. So let's begin with Drop Duchy, a puzzle strategy roguelite where you have to build and defend a kingdom using falling blocks, instead of clearing lines. Each block you place becomes part of your realm, influencing resource production and military strength, mixing city building management with almost RTS style combat, with the core Tetris-like action remaining intact. There is a deck building element with over 110 unique cards, 3 factions to play as, which are completely unique and has roguelite procedural generation for replayability and looks cleverly made. Trench Tales is an intense third-person shooter which blends horror and action in a setting somewhere between World War I and II. You are on a secret mission and have to uncover the truth as to why you were summoned to this desolate realm, hinting that you might be a traveller from out of time rather than a soldier in the war. You will get access to an array of period-appropriate weaponry like old-school rifles, submachine guns and grenades, with firearms being customizable to suit your playstyle. Speaking of which, you will also get access to special powers such as slowing down time, rapid healing, seeing through walls and unleashing burst energy, so somewhat of a supernatural element as well, with a fantastically crafted grim environment. A stunning open-world 3D platformer adventure game is Spirits of the North 2, in which you play as a lone fox accompanied by a wise raven on a quest to restore the Lost Guardians, cleanse the land from corruption, and to return home. You make your way through different biomes from dense woodlands, snowy peaks, and ancient crypts, each presenting unique challenges and secrets to uncover. Our dynamic duo will have a number of traversal abilities like a dash or a glide, which you can use to explore, mixed in with puzzle-based encounters as you take on these powerful corrupted guardians, but does not include traditional combat per se. Find runes to enhance your skills and gain new abilities, with cosmetic customization options for the Fox and Raven as well. This is the follow-up to the original Spirits of the North from 2020, which has over 4,300 Steam reviews and is good, so I'm excited for this, but do note that no prior knowledge is required to enjoy the sequel. Hordes of Hunger is a dark fantasy third-person action roguelite inspired by Vampire Survivors, in which you face off against endless waves of grotesque enemies. Each run offers a chance to craft unique builds from diverse weapons and abilities used in intense combat, with the different types of enemies such as brutes or howlers requiring different strategies. The 3D environment means that tactics like utilizing choke points and high ground will be crucial for survival, and as you progress, you'll rescue survivors and NPCs, uncovering fragments of the haunting narrative, mixed in with intense post-pounding action, and you have a high potential title. In the quiet ruins of a forgotten world, Dolok Town invites you to rebuild life from the ground up. This side-scrolling farming adventure blends cozy routines with unexpected challenges. You start with simple planting pots, nurturing crops amid unpredictable weather like acid rain and heat waves. As your skills grow, so does your farm, expanding into automated systems and crafting tools to thrive in this harsh environment. Exploration leads you through treacherous wetlands and abandoned ruins where secrets and resources await. Along with farming, you engage in platforming and combat, using drones to fight off mysterious creatures, with there also being a town with quirky residents, each with their own stories, who also offer quests and companionship, enriching your journey, combining elements of RPG, simulation and adventure, and looks pretty cute. Other games begins with Among Us 3D. On paper, one of the more popular games of the week, since it taps on the Among Us theme, the social deduction title that has become one of the most successful indie games of all time. This transforms the familiar gameplay into a first-person experience where the core remains the same, where crewmates have to navigate the corridors and complete tasks, while the imposters have to play along and find the right time to strike, with the same emergency meeting system being in place as well. This is also a remade/fused version of Among Us VR, with this game having VR support but can also be played on a regular monitor, supporting 4 to 10 players crossplay, with features like proximity voice chat. New objectives, including a whack-a-mole style minigame, have been added, along with the introduction of Stardust, an in-game currency used for cosmetic customization, as well as a new tag mode which introduces the infected role, adding more variety. But I have a feeling that this will not be as popular as the original 3/4 view version, but it is still great that there is this option. Chinese developers tend to use the Chinese cultivation theme, a mishmash of Chinese mythology, folklore, and ancient Chinese history, with Ascension being the next game to do so. But unlike other Chinese titles like Black Myth Wukong or Amazing Cultivation Simulator, this is a 4X strategy title instead, which is extra interesting. You play as a young disciple, the last hope of a fallen sect, having to rebuild your organization, explore uncharted lands, establish a new home, manage resources, expand your influence, and battle formidable creatures and rival clans. Diplomacy and warfare will be critical, but it's very interesting that we have a Chinese title in the 4X genre. In the smoky heart of Bukovi, a city teetering on the edge of unrest, the last speakeasy stands defiant. Behind its bar, you mix more than drinks, you stir secrets in best served cold. This is a visual novel adventure game where you step into the shoes of a bartender detective. Each cocktail you craft isn't just a drink, it's the key to unlocking hidden truths. As jazz melodies play, patrons from all walks of life confide in you, revealing tales that intertwine with a series of chilling murders. Your choices matter: charm, intimidate, or deceive to extract information, where every interaction could be a clue or a trap. The game challenges you to solve 5 intricate cases, each more complex than the last, all set against the backdrop of labour strikes and looming war, which results in a tense atmosphere, taking the Valhalla or coffee talk formula and putting their own spin on things. There's something about massive trains as a setting which is very interesting, from Snowpiercer to Carbonari of the Iron Fortress, with another such title of interest being Break Siege, which puts you in command of such a locomotive, having to power it up and get strong enough to break through Imperial forces. Most interestingly, while it is a roguelite deck builder, combat is in real time, so you have to think on your feet, whose most direct comparison would be Run Go, but with a different theme. So if you love trains or are just curious about real-time card combat, do check this out. A very ambitious looking 3D action-adventure RPG is Bygone Dreams, set within a surreal dream world where you play as Wa, a spiritual entity on a quest to save the dream realm of Loon and its matron deity from a devouring nightmare, releasing the Prophecy free prologue demo this week. This draws upon Slavic mythology and medieval Bosnian folklore, with a ton of work going into the game, including an orchestral soundtrack with over 50 unique tracks, as well as 2 hours of fully voiced cutscenes. Combat is fast-paced and intense, mixing melee, ranged, and elemental magic to overcome enemies and powerful boss encounters. Further customization exists in the form of the abilities you select and multiple difficulty settings, as well as optional challenges like time trials and no damage boss challenges, with exploration and puzzle solving as well. The Prophecy version comprises of the first 2 levels with 2 to 3 hours of gameplay, so try this out to get a feel for the game. Even more so than other indie games, we are taking a step back in time with Captain Blood this week, a title that was in development for 10 years and then got abandoned, but from the ashes rises this pirate-themed action-adventure game. In the 17th century Caribbean, live a pirate's life filled with peril and plunder as you participate in intense sword fights, explosive ship battles, and go on a quest for treasure. This has all your expected pirate weapons, from cutlasses, pistols, and muskets, to be used in flashy combos and finishes on land and on ships. As you defeat foes, you earn points to unlock new fighting techniques and acquire gold for weapon upgrades. According to Wikipedia, this title was announced in 2003, and it shows in terms of graphics and gameplay even in 2025, with this having more than a passing resemblance to Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, at least in terms of art style, so what is old is new again and does look pretty nostalgic. In Deck of Haunts, you embody a vengeful mansion abandoned in the 1920s, now alive with malice. By day, design your lair with traps and eerie rooms, with the main goal being to protect your heart room, which is the source of your power. Nightfall brings intruders from regular humans to drain to more concerning visitors like law enforcement, priests, or even the stonemasons. Use a deck of 35 types of cards to summon phantoms, shift hallways, and unleash terrors, where bone-chilling screams to creaking floors intensifies fears, pushing your visitors towards madness. Once their sanity breaks, extract their essence to expand your mansion, unlocking new rooms and powers, and while it's not October, looks to be an excellent spooky title worth picking up and perhaps revisiting when the time is right. Speaking of horror titles, one about the very real threat of war is Deck Line, which places you in a dire situation, out of ammunition, surrounded and abandoned by command. In this bleak setting, you and your squad engage in one final game of Durak, a traditional Russian card game to distract from the inevitable. The game captures the raw essence of modern combat, reflecting the gritty atmosphere of 1990s Eastern Europe. Its dynamic, randomized gameplay mechanics ensure unlimited replayability, forcing you to constantly reshape your playstyle. With a story mode featuring multiple endings and an infinite competitive mode with global leaderboards, this looks to be quite the intriguing entry. In the shadowy realm of the afterlife, Dice with Death invites you to a high-stakes game where your fate hinges on the roll of the dice. This roguelite deck builder has you collecting unique dice and relics, creating combos to deal damage as you attempt to cheat death. There is a push your luck element as you decide on when to bank your points or to roll again, having roguelite randomization in the dice and relics that you get, but also has multiple character classes to play as, with some good pixel art as well. Set in the rugged Wild West where dinosaurs never went extinct, Dino Path Trail challenges you to survive in this world, which requires sharp instincts and swift actions. Interestingly, this is a survival roguelite title instead of action roguelite, where you do need to be concerned with hunger, thirst and temperature on top of your health. Each biome, be it scorching deserts, eerie swamps or icy peaks, presents unique threats and hidden opportunities as you gather resources but fight when necessary. Crafting becomes essential as you scavenge for resources to build and upgrade your mobile base camp with intense twin-stick shooter action roguelite style combat, making you use firearms and throwables to fend off predators and outlaws. As your notoriety grows, so does the challenge, with enemies becoming more relentless, but if you do fall, death isn't the end. Each demise unlocks new crafting recipes, encouraging you to adapt and strategize for future runs, so if you love dinosaur games like me, this should be worth a look. If you want to unleash your inner Rainbolt within the convenience of Steam, then GeoGuessr Steam Edition will be the title to pick up, where this trivia/detective title drops you into a random part of the world and you need to guess where you are. Carefully study signs, landscapes, buildings, car license plates and more to guess your exact spot on Earth, having a competitive aspect as you are pitted against another player. Or why not play this in team duels as well? Each match challenges you differently, pushing you from the beginner ranks towards the excitement of championship level games. With every guess, suspense builds, so will your careful observation reward you, or will a tiny detail lead you astray? Geography has never been this fun. Another demo to try is Grenvir Zero Front, a third-person mech action roguelite that places you in the cockpit of a customizable mech fighting against the invading Millennium Company. Scavenge the battlefield for parts to upgrade your Grenvir's arms, legs and weapons, tailoring your machine to suit your combat style. Between missions, manage resources carefully, from taking loans to buy ammunition or assisting the locals for support as you plan your route to extraction. This free release is a standalone title, which is the prelude to the Millennium Horizon campaign planned for the main game, where I love my mechs as well, so of course this is of note. Gun Switch is a top-down arena shooter where swarms of demonic aliens surround you on all sides, and you have to fire your way out of this mess. Set within the depths of a space prison named Cerberus, you command a squad of androids named Pawns, as they work together synergistically to defeat the swarms of enemies. Utilize an arsenal of upgradable weapons capable of unleashing thousands of bullets in mere seconds, with a real-time weapon modification system which allows you to adapt swiftly, switching loadouts to counter evolving enemy tactics. Each member of your android squad serves as an extra life, enabling seamless character transitions, also having shared or split-screen co-op so you can play with friends. Of course, this looks very Vampire Survivors inspired, but nowhere on the Steam page do I see any mention of roguelite, so perhaps this is a straight arena shooter more along the lines of Crimson Land. Hands down, Ithia Magic Studies is the prettiest title of the week, where you step into a tranquil realm where productivity meets enchantment. This unique blend of cozy background application and productivity tool allows you to personalize your study space as you sit, like the character, in hand-drawn environments ranging from a serene forest to mystical ancient cities. Adjust the ambience to match your mood, day, night, or rainy settings, while enjoying ambient sounds and curated lo-fi or fantasy music. Enhance your focus with built-in tools like a to-do list and a Pomodoro timer, collecting elementals along the way as well, and looks perfect for study sessions, creative writing, or planning adventures. Developer Reverie World Studios have been making a very specific type of strategy game all these years. Do check out their back catalogue to get an idea of what I mean, with Knights of the Crusades being their latest entry, set of course during the First Crusade, where you command a fledgling holy order shaping its destiny across Europe. This real-time strategy game blends city building and sandbox elements, allowing you to construct settlements, manage resources, and engage in epic battles on land and sea with massive armies. Choose to align with the Templars or forge your own path, expanding your influence through diplomacy or conquest. As you progress, you'll encounter dynamic events from naval sieges to faction wars, with each decision influencing the course of history. In the eerie halls of Boyd Manor, you play as a babysitter in Midnight Special, navigating a night twisted by unseen forces. Interestingly, this is a point-and-click survival horror game drawing inspiration from 90s classics and looks like a traditional Scum Engine title. However, reality bends and the shadows whisper, so as you explore the manor's corridors, each creaking floorboard and flickering light deepens the sense of dread. Puzzles emerge not just as obstacles, but as keys to understanding the dark secrets of the house, with some horrifically macabre pixel art as well, which is just so effectively done and is the hidden gem of the week. We have had a number of farming sims in a row starting from last week, the latest of which is Pixel Shire, a game which has been in development for a little while and looks to be a fairly by-the-numbers one of these, but with an exploration element. You begin with nothing but a humble patch of land, yet soon find yourself building an entire community from the ground up. As you plant crops and raise animals, the land transforms under your careful guidance. But farming isn't your only talent. You can also explore procedurally generated dungeons and lands, each filled with surprises and hazards. Unique villagers can settle in your town, each offering their own talents, friendships, and even secrets that might unlock new adventures. You decide where to place every home, road, or river, making your village truly yours, and participate in activities like fishing, mining, and brewing, with each skill unlocking another piece of the world's puzzle, and looks similar to Littlewood in the town building aspect and should be neat. No, this is not a new pizza tower or DLC, but rather Rift of the Necrodancer will be releasing 4 new DLC tracks featuring music from the indie platformer hit from 2023, where each track offers a unique challenge with varying difficulties and a remix mode that shuffles the beat map for a fresh experience every playthrough. These will include a fully animated Peppino Spaghetti and a background visualizer adorned with pizza toppings, adding a cheesy charm to your rhythmic battles. So grab a slice of the fun, where it's interesting to see the strategy around this game looking like a Guitar Hero-like model but for indie games. We also have the release of Rift Riff, say that fast 5 times, a charming tower defense title that has demoed well. Step into a vibrant world where strategy and adaptability are key to defending your base against relentless waves of monsters. There are preset spots on the map to place your towers, choosing from 14 unique tower types, each with 6 powerful upgrades to counter 25 distinct monsters across 15 diverse worlds. Enemies have different behavior as well, targeting your extractor or attacking every tower in sight, so you need to anticipate and strategize around this. As you progress, you'll unlock companions who assist in battle, adding more variety to your strategy, but as a whole, it is relatively forgiving, allowing you to schedule builds, refund misplaced towers, and retry failed waves without penalty, encouraging experimentation and learning, and will be for fans of the genre. Now hear me out on this one, since Savara looks like a generic action roguelite, yes, but it has a stamina system, so a roguelite Souls-like, but also an almost Monster Hunter-like element where you gather resources from defeated enemies and use it to craft new equipment. Also having a boons system that looks suspiciously close to Hades, so it's mixing and mashing ideas and could be cool. Our protagonist is taking part in the grand festivities honoring a warrior god in the form of trials designed to challenge the bravest fighters across dimensions. As you engage in combat, each weapon you wield, be it thrusting, slashing, one-handed or two-handed, offers unique advantages and disadvantages, allowing for hundreds of possible combinations to suit your playstyle. Defeating formidable monsters grants resources to enhance your arsenal at the blacksmith and to make offerings to divine statues, unlocking over 90 blessings that alter your abilities and looks kind of fun. I love the art style of Spreadsheet, a puzzle game centered around spreadsheets, which doesn't sound like fun, but it's so weird and unique. Set in a 1990s inspired office, your knack for spreadsheets will become your ticket to corporate ascension. As the new office prodigy, you are tasked with solving absurd challenges, from balancing dubious budgets to covering your boss's antics using formulas and manipulating cells to achieve this. It's a nostalgic nod to Windows 3.11, complete with MIDI music and a Clippy-like assistant named Copy, adding a layer of charm to the game. Beyond spreadsheets, you'll engage in quirky office minigames like cleaning up after wild parties or fixing malfunctioning printers, all while navigating the satirical corporate culture of the 90s on your journey to become the ultimate bro. I'm always a bit skeptical when it comes to publisher Playway and the myriad of titles that they publish, most of which appear to be first-person simulator titles copy-pasted with a different theme. But Survival Machine is something different and does have hype. This is a third-person action crafting survival title where you awaken aboard a colossal moving fortress, your only refuge in a world overrun by the undead. Build and expand your mobile base while navigating through ever-changing biomes teeming with resources and dangers. By day, you scavenge for materials, craft tools, and fortify your machine, and by night, you brace for relentless zombie assaults that test your defenses and strategy. Being, funnily enough, Fortnite saved the world, but with a mobile base, where co-op with friends looks like the ideal way to play this and could be huge. Here's another entry in the Touhou project named Touhou Spell Carnival, where instead of bullet hell shoot 'em up, this is a bullet hell strategy RPG instead, which definitely has me curious. Taking place on grid-based battlefields, you recruit and place a diverse cast of characters, each bringing unique abilities and spell cards to your team, as their placement counters the intricate projectile patterns of your enemies. Between battles, a shrine serves as your hub for character interactions, side events, and mission planning, looking like something different in this space. I love my tower defense games, so it's a good week for me, with another title that I have my eye on being Tower Dominion, a roguelite title with what appears to be quite the amount of replayability. You are in command of the last bastion of humanity against a relentless alien invasion, having to not only place towers, but also sculpt the battlefield itself, creating choke points and strategic elevations to outmaneuver your foes. Each tower and building is a scarce resource, requiring careful selection and placement to maximize their unique strengths and upgrades. With 30 distinct heroes across various factions, each bringing unique abilities and strategies, your approach to defense evolves with every playthrough. After each wave, you must adapt by choosing from a set of upgrades and rewards, reinforcing your strategy against the ever-changing enemy tactics with a fantastic art style as well. Here's a very interesting hybrid RTS city builder named Darfall, where you play as a hero tasked with safeguarding your settlement in the dark fantasy realm of Agonor. It uniquely blends real-time strategy, RPG, and survival elements, where like a couple of other games mentioned in this video, by day, you focus on gathering resources, constructing defenses, and enhancing your hero's ability, and as night falls, waves of the undead and other malevolent forces assault your city, so you need to defend. It has a diverse roster of heroes, each with distinct abilities and playstyles, with story campaign, a survival mode, and even a scenario editor for creating custom maps and missions, which provides extensive replayability, where if you played a bunch of Warcraft 3 like me, I'm sure this will be of interest. In Yes Your Grace 2 Snowfall, you return to the troubled kingdom of Devon, where each decision you make as monarch carries weighty consequences. This cinematic kingdom management RPG has you balancing limited resources, addressing the needs of petitioners, and navigating the complexities of ruling a realm on the brink. New features include the ability to pass laws, manage a marketplace, and hire agents with unique skills and personalities. The game also emphasizes family dynamics, as caring for your loved ones becomes crucial amidst political turmoil. Set against a backdrop inspired by Slavic folklore, this introduces over 200 new quest objectives, enhanced visuals, and deeper strategic elements, ensuring that every choice shapes the narrative and the kingdom's future. From the people that worked on Lost in Random comes The Midnight Walk, a first-person horror adventure game with an excellent claymation art style. You play as the Burnt One, a fragile figure in a world where light is both your guide and your only defense. You come across Pot Boy, a lantern-headed creature who becomes your companion, providing a flame that illuminates your path and distracts the grotesque monsters lurking in the shadows that just want to extinguish that very light. You are making your way through the twisted trail known as the Midnight Walk, solving puzzles, outsmarting monsters, and perhaps engaging in a little bit of stealth, with a narrative unfolding across 5 interwoven tales, each set in haunting locales. The monster designs are pretty freaky and well done, enhanced by the claymation, and will be of interest to horror game fans. Real Gods of Hystera is a survival crafting action-adventure RPG in which you awaken as a dreamer, a character which is bound to a monstrous sentient train known as a Real God, which is your only sanctuary in a world twisted by the Great Old Ones. Your Real God isn't just transportation, it's a living fortress that hungers for flesh, demanding sacrifices to fuel its journey. As you traverse procedurally generated hellscapes, you gather resources, craft weapons, and build custom carriages to expand your mobile base. Combat is visceral, blending melee, firearms, and dark magic, allowing you to capture or destroy the eldritch horrors and cultists that stand in your way. Between battles, you return to your Real God to purge madness, unlock God Keeper abilities, and prepare for the next onslaught, having co-op support for up to 5 players and looks high potential. One of my most anticipated games makes it to launch, so I'm more than happy to share the news, since you can go back in time to find me talking about this game when it was then still known as Project Elysis, and after further development, a Kickstarter, signing with a publisher, and a couple of delays, Creature Keeper will finally be playable. An action-adventure monster tamer with real-time combat, checking all of the boxes that I look for in games, so fingers crossed this will be excellent. It's the week of Doom the Dark Ages, so understandably so, it's a smaller week as indie developers get out of the way, but we still have some interesting pixel art games, all action titles, a huge simulator, and much more, beginning with the Wicked Wishes update for Shovel Knight Dig, being the final update to the spin-off of the indie classic, and will get PlayStation and Xbox versions as well. You will be able to access Hoofman's Guild Hall, a secret hideout where elite adventurers gather to undertake challenging quests, having their own ranking to progress up with new relics, buffs, and rewards, along with new bosses and enemies, where this has certainly been an interesting experiment, and I wonder if we will see more spin-offs like this. Publisher Hooded Horse exclusively specializes in deep strategy titles and have really gotten this marketing thing down pat, since their games are consistently in the top of the most wishlisted and best-selling charts, which makes Blacksmith Master of Interest, where you step into the role of a medieval blacksmith, managing every aspect of your forge, from mining ores and gems to crafting and selling finished products. Hire and train staff to optimize your operations, which is on top of upgrading and expanding your shop. and as your reputation grows, you'll unlock new crafting recipes, allowing you to produce a wider range of items. This also has a dynamic market system where you can fulfill orders from various clients across the kingdom and will be for fans of the genre. The developer of Colibra and the Souls of Limbo reached out and reminded me that I covered this game back in 2022 and it's an adventure game which mixes 2D characters with a 3D environment. You play as Colibra, a deceased snake who awakens in Limbo, but a vibrant Latin American inspired version of the afterlife here, where the residents of Limbo are trapped in a time loop, repeating the same day due to unresolved regrets. Your mission is to help these souls find peace by solving puzzles, gathering clues, and uncovering the mysteries that bind them. It has a day-night cycle that influences character behaviors and events, requiring you to interact with various inhabitants, each with unique stories and schedules. Utilize your wits, stealth, and detective skills to navigate this richly detailed world filled with humor, intrigue, and heartfelt moments. A notebook system assists in tracking important information, ensuring that you can piece together the narrative threads, with it, of course, having a visual resemblance to Paper Mario, but it's a straightforward adventure game without combat, but I do really like the visual style. An impressive looking first-person title is Cubic Odyssey, a voxel-based open-world adventure where you crash land on a distant planet and must rebuild, explore, and survive across a galaxy teeming with life and mystery. Your journey begins with salvaging resources to craft tools, vehicles, and starships, enabling you to traverse the vast expanse of space and uncover ancient secrets. The universe is dynamic, featuring day-night cycles, bustling NPC cities, pirate outposts, and perilous ruins waiting to be discovered. A looming threat known as the Red Darkness spreads across planets, mutating wildlife and consuming ecosystems, so you need to find a way to combat its influence through strategic planning and cooperation. Engage in diverse quests, trade with NPCs, and battle rogue pirates as you shape your odyssey. It is very Minecraft-like, emphasizing creativity, allowing you to build everything from your own base to mega structures and supports co-op with other players to tackle colossal threats. This developer, Atypical Games, is best known for their work on mobile flight simulator titles, so it's a very ambitious swing, which is different from their previous offerings, so I'll be interested to see how this does. Important news: Nubs Arena will be free to claim and keep for the first 24 hours after its launch on 15 May 2025, so wishlist the game and set an alarm or something if you don't want to miss out. This is a fast-paced, top-down multiplayer brawler with roguelite elements, where you control a quirky creature known as a nub, engaging in chaotic battles across trap-filled arenas. Quick reflexes and use of absurd weapons like fish, squeaky pigs, and cans of beans will be critical to your success, where each match is made up of 5 frantic rounds, with players selecting passive abilities after each round to enhance their combat prowess, adding to the game's unpredictability and looks like a similar system to rounds. The arenas are dynamic, featuring hazards such as spikes and lava, where if you are eliminated, you do get a second chance as you are turned into a floating star, where surviving long enough in this form allows you to be revived. Developer Rangatang is made up of ex-Ronimo Games people who are best known for Awesome Lots, but it seems like they were unable to make a big enough hit to sustain the team, which led to the studio being shut down, but these developers bought back the Nubs Arena IP and have skin in the game, so for their sake, I hope this does well for them. Other games begins with Barrage, a digital adaptation of a tabletop board game resulting in a turn-based strategy title where you manage engineers to build dams, harness water power, and compete for energy dominance. Each turn, you assign engineers to actions like acquiring machinery, constructing infrastructure, and producing energy. Action spaces are limited and shared, so timing is crucial to outmaneuver your opponents. You can choose from different corporations to play as, each being unique and have different rewards, where every CEO has a special passive power which can be unlocked as well. These are paired with executive orders which heavily impact rules, resulting in different playstyles and viable strategies. Objectives, energy contracts, and technologies are randomized in every playthrough, which adds replayability, so you need to adapt your strategy to the given situation, with this having an 8.1 rating on BoardGameGeek and is the 37th best board game overall. So assuming that the digital edition is bug-free and works, will be a good addition. Yes, Bro Venture The Wild Co-op is yet another Vampire Survivors style action roguelite, but of course with a co-op focus, where you and up to 3 friends can team up to battle hordes of enemies, gather resources, and build a thriving camp. In addition to bullet heaven combat, there is a base building element, offering a dynamic and strategic experience. As you progress, you unlock new characters, each with unique abilities, and can construct facilities like libraries and armories to enhance your capabilities, where I do love town or camp building in games, which makes this of note. The art style also looks interesting, but can get overwhelming when there are too many enemies and attack effects on screen, but I suppose that is the point, and funnily enough, there is no mention of story or plot on the Steam page other than transform your camp into a sanctuary of liberation, but fans of the genre will know exactly what to expect. Cats and Dice comes to us from Singaporean developer Yong Just Yong, so here's a special shoutout for this roguelite dice builder title that is, of course, very Balatro-like in nature. However, instead of poker cards, you are rolling dice and using lucky cats to overcome an ever-increasing target score each round. Each cat possesses unique passive abilities and generates a specific die at the start of the round, and you can also equip various items to your cats, enhancing or altering their abilities and the effects of their dice. It will have over 90 cats and 150 items, providing a wide array of possible combinations and replayability, with there also having a boon-bane system requiring you to weigh the pros and cons of each option and has been compared to a boss fight. There are also mentions of bonuses in the form of unique dice combinations to boost your score, as well as tickets which permanently aid your run, being a fresh enough twist on the idea. A very interesting looking title is Chambers, a self-styled first-person comedic RPG shooter set in the weird Wild West with a revolver punk theme. This combines classic FPS mechanics with unconventional elements like catching bullets mid-air and using them against your enemies, along with first-person rolling, which might just make you throw up, kicking enemies, a hookshot hat, which I'm guessing means that you can throw your hat, cannibalism, so things get dark, and the ability to drink booze and puke. So yes, a very weird entry for sure. It will have open sandbox-like levels, which I'm guessing means self-contained mini open areas where you will have options when it comes to tackling enemies instead of being essentially linear corridors. There are also trading and cooking systems, as well as an equipment system where clothing and gear are upgradable, which are the RPG elements. Of course, we have to talk about the art style, which is a throwback, and honestly, looks like it might blow up in that Cruelty Squad kind of way, so we'll see, with developer Mr. Pink having made Golden Light as well, which is another insane looking title kind of like this, which is pretty popular, and is the hidden gem of the week. A fun-looking action roguelite is Gunbot Diplomacy, set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where you control a customizable gunbot and use it to fend off relentless waves of enemies. There are over 20 base weapons with 25 plus types of augments and boosters, along with a unique hexagonal upgrade grid which allows players to mix and match, resulting in a weapon created for your preferred playstyle. There are also more than 80 build-defining modules, along with 10 base gunbots to choose from, each with unique characteristics, including the Gallant Landspot and the Freezer, which is an armed refrigerator, meaning that each run offers a distinct experience, emphasizing replayability. The post-apocalypse setting translates to enemy variety as well, from oozified office workers and crab cactus hybrids, and looks like a good entry in this space. A fantastic looking entry is House of Legacy, in part since the hand-painted visuals look wonderful, resembling classic Chinese paintings, but even more than the look, this is a sandbox strategy game which immerses you in ancient China's political and familial dynamic. You play as a clan leader seeking refuge after rebel forces breach the city walls, aiming to rebuild your family's legacy from the ground up. It has an extensive base building system with over 200 modular pieces, allowing you to design estates, farms, and cities. Each playthrough generates approximately 30 unique noble families, fostering dynamic relationships, alliances, and rivalries between them, creating an intricate web which you need to navigate if you want to succeed. You can guide your descendants through the imperial exams, govern territories, and engage in military campaigns. Choices include supporting the ruling dynasty, leading military forces against it, or employing diplomacy to quell rebellions, looking very ambitious and deeply strategic. Into the Restless Ruins is a roguelike deck builder that draws upon Scottish folklore, where you take on the role of a wanderer seeking the Harvest Maiden, who promises to fulfill your deepest desire in exchange for Gilmore, a mystical essence harvested from cursed spirits. Each night, you use cards representing rooms and corridors to build the dungeon that you will explore, strategically placing elements like campfires, libraries, and portals to aid your journey. But with the main twist being that it has an auto-battle system where your character automatically attacks enemies, allowing you to focus on creating the dungeon layout. As you progress, you earn favors from the Maiden to acquire new cards or to trade relics with NPCs to upgrade your deck, with the closest comparison that I can think of being Guild of Dungeoneering, where I'm surprised to see that it took this long for someone to make a game like that. And perhaps most interestingly of all, this has a Scottish Gaelic audio option which is very unique if switched on. This week also sees the Switch ports of Monstroscopy following a PS4 launch last week and Xbox and Steam versions before that, being a retro-inspired fighting game with an interesting look. This blends 1950s Mexican horror cinema and lucha libre aesthetics, having both monstrous characters as well as masked luchadors as playable characters. It has various gameplay modes including arcade, versus challenge and training, along with a simplified yet complex command system where you only have normal attack, special attack, and guard, but these can be used to create powerful combos and is visually distinct. A title that has nailed the exact visual style that they are going for is Neon Hearts City, a retro point-and-click adventure game that thrusts you into a grungy cyberpunk city of the future. As private investigator Elijah Crow, you are on the trail of a missing girl named Audrey, but this isn't just a simple missing persons case. The city hides a conspiracy involving zealots, androids longing to become human, and a mysterious tower that could unravel civilization itself. Your investigation takes you through neon-lit backstreets, a colossal airship prison, and into the depths of a society on the brink with throwback pixel art reminiscent of titles from the 90s, along with classic point-and-click puzzles and a rich narrative steeped in noir and cyberpunk themes. A completely free roguelite platformer of note is Rogue Worlds, where you navigate ever-changing levels using a variety of creative abilities to overcome challenges. The game emphasizes improvisation, allowing you to blast, dash, grapple, fight, and charm your way through diverse biomes, each presenting unique dangers and opportunities. As you progress, you unlock starting gear, character perks, pets, and more, enhancing your capabilities. The game also features a permanent progression system, ensuring that each run contributes to your overall advancement. If you thought that this looked familiar, that is because this comes to us from developer Cognitive Forge, whose other game, Aura of Worlds, pretty much looks the same visually, with the same creativity-focused gameplay, where Rogue Worlds is supposed to be a free introduction to that other game, with progress in this carrying over so it's an interesting business model and I'm curious as to whether or not this will work. If you're into horror games, The Dead Seat should be of interest, in which your character pulls out a handheld game in the back seat during a long drive home. As your parents begin fighting, your handheld game is your only source of entertainment, but the game begins to mirror real life. Items collected in the game appears in the back seat, which you then have to use to defend yourself against a deadly monstrosity that's trying to make its way into the back seat with you, and is a short, low-priced title that looks intriguing. On paper, The Precinct is one of the most wishlisted games on Steam, being in the top 50 in terms of rankings, and has previewed extremely well with its demo, and is a sandbox simulation action game set in the crime-ridden streets of Averno City in 1983. You assume the role of rookie officer Nick Cordell Jr., tasked with restoring order and uncovering the truth behind your father's mysterious death while in service. The game offers a dynamic open-world experience blending police simulation with action-packed gameplay. You'll patrol the city on foot, in squad cars and even helicopters, responding to a variety of procedurally generated crimes ranging from minor infractions to major heists. To add to the immersion, there's a day-night cycle and dynamic weather altering character behavior. Engage in high-speed pursuits as you attempt to stop street racing or to bust up drug deals, and you don't have to go it alone with an in-depth support system for you to call for backup. Your police allies can set up roadblocks, spike strips, and more, with destructible environments adding to the chaos. As you confront Averno's criminal underworld, the game's narrative and setting pays tribute to classic cop movies and essentially feels like the inverse of GTA, and needless to say, cops and robbers in video game form still has a huge audience. A spooky looking title which might not be for everyone is Labyrinth of the Demon King, depending on your tolerance for the intentionally limited 4x3 resolution as well as throwback graphics style. This is a first-person dungeon crawler set in a mythical version of feudal Japan, where you, a lone infantryman, seek vengeance against the Demon King who killed your lord. The world is inspired by Japanese folklore, but with a very grim slant to the look, reminiscent of early PlayStation titles, while still having distinct enough features like the demon masks and other creatures and yokai. Combat is deliberate and challenging, requiring careful management of stamina and strategic use of weapons like katanas, naginatas, and muskets, looking to be King's Field-like in nature, but going even more in the horror direction. As you navigate the labyrinth, in addition to combat, you have to solve puzzles and make choices about whom to trust, all of which can influence your fate, looking pretty unique and has potential. All the other way on the other end of the vibes spectrum is Animal Spa, a cozy bottom-of-screen idle management title with an absolutely adorable look. You manage a bathhouse frequented by various animal guests, having to construct various baths with different temperatures and rest areas to help your customers relax. It's very tycoon game-like in nature, where you can customize your bathhouse with nostalgic tiled interiors, or even to create open-air baths and add features like bubble machines and herbal bags to enhance the experience. You also need to manage staff, hiring and training employees to maintain the bathhouse with an array of animal visitors, including cats, dogs, rabbits, and hamsters, each with unique preferences, which is where the variety and challenge comes in. The sharp-eyed among you might have caught a glimpse of a certain platypus character, since yes, this does indeed come to us from the developer of Ogu and the Secret Forest, retaining their signature adorable character designs, and might be huge. At least 3 of you made it a point to remind me about the upcoming 1.0 release of The Slawmancer, whether it be through YouTube comments or even dropping me an email, so thanks for the reminder, and here it is for the benefit of the rest of you. This is a pixel art action RPG that has Diablo vibes with the classic dark fantasy setting, which blends fast-paced combat with deep customization. There are 3 unique classes, essentially warrior, archer, and mage, each offering distinct playstyles and abilities, with plenty of build variety and customization within these classes as well. It's a loot treadmill kind of game, where you are delving into the dungeon to battle hordes of enemies, then collecting and upgrading a vast array of weapons and gear, allowing you to tailor your character to your preferred combat style. As you progress, you'll unlock powerful skills with a mini version of Path of Exile's skill tree in this game. This has been in early access since April 2021, so it has been a very long time coming, gaining a respectable 4,200 Steam reviews since then, which I'm estimating is at least 200,000 copies sold, with the 1.0 release of course adding a final epic boss fight, a new endgame mode called the Netherworld with plenty of content, an increased level cap to 100 and much more, where the developers says that the 1.0 release is not the end of their journey, with plans to add and expand the game. So if you have not bought this, it will be 25% off this week, which is its largest discount ever. After a little bit of a delay, we have the release of one of the sleekest looking action roguelites in Yasha Legends of the Demon Blade, set in a fantasy version of Edo period Japan. There are 3 distinct heroes in the human ninja, an oni and a tiger archer, each with unique combat styles and storylines, with all the bells and whistles expected of a roguelite and an absolutely killer visual presentation. It's a massive week of new releases following a smaller entry last week, with some hotly anticipated titles including action platformers, one long in development title, some potentially massive games and much more. So let's begin with Tower of Babel Survivors of Chaos, a bullet heaven roguelite where you ascend a cursed tower as a lone warrior. This combines hack and slash action with what seems to be a Darkest Dungeon inspired art style, and man, does that hold up visually, with all the progression systems from skills, abilities, items, loot and permanent progression expected, and has demoed very well, so if you want more of these, this would be a great pick. On the opposite end of things in terms of vibes is Duck Detective: The Ghost of Glamping, the standalone sequel to The Secret Salami that once again has you playing as Eugene McQuacklin, a down on his luck duck detective grappling with personal demons and a penchant for bread. This time, he is summoned to a luxury campsite teeming with eccentric animal characters and rumors of a haunting, where your task is to unravel said mystery, done through an ad-libs style fill-in-the-blanks investigation system, where the main complaint about the first game was that it was just a single case and was too short in duration, meaning that players wanted more, although this looks like a single case as well, with an expected duration of 2 to 3 hours, but I would much rather have an excellent, tighter experience as compared to a bloated game with filler. Publisher Hooded Horse is back at it again this week with Nine Kings, a roguelite kingdom management strategy title in which you play as a ruler in a kingdom on the brink of destruction. You have to build and expand your realm through a deck building system where each card represents different structures, units and spells, with your city initially being constrained to a 3x3 grid, but that can be expanded. The titular 9 Kings are your adversaries, where each of them presents a new challenge with their own distinct decks that you can add to your own once defeated. It has auto-battler combat, where you position your units on the grid and then hit go, having to choose the right time for your spells and abilities, with a minimalist yet striking pixel art style. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but we finally have the release of The Siege and the Sandfox, which was after a delay, a self-styled Stealthvania title in which you embody the legendary Sandfox, a master of stealth and agility, falsely accused of regicide and cast into the maze of dungeons beneath a besieged desert city. As you navigate the perilous underground world, you'll master dynamic parkour abilities, including running, jumping, sliding, shimmying, and pole swinging, in order to evade detection as you uncover the true threat lurking within from a sand-born evil. It will have a seamless, interconnected world that links the majestic palace above, ancient prisons below, and an intricate network of caves, where each area presents unique challenges and enemies. However, it says that it is a pure stealth title, so you won't be engaging in direct combat, but can get the jump on enemies to knock them out. being intriguing in concept, so I'm excited to see how this will play out and has some of the most amazing pixel art and lighting that I have seen. We also have the release of Windward Horizon, the follow-up to a fan favourite Windward from 2015, so it has been 10 years being an open-world naval RPG, so expect sailing, trading, naval combat, crew management and exploration. Start as a young, unaffiliated captain of your vessel and set off on an adventure in this vast, procedurally generated world where every decision shapes your experience. Whether you choose to trade peacefully as a merchant, fly the skull and crossbones and start attacking other ships, or live the life of an explorer, venturing into uncharted waters, the game offers a rich tapestry of experiences and the choice is yours. There will be various factions, each with their own agendas, and your interactions with them can influence the world around you, including joining up with them. It also has a dynamic world which will react to your actions, since towns and provinces require resources to thrive and your contributions can lead to their growth or decline in the case of setting up a blockade and destroying incoming ships. You can also customize your ship, putting on heavily reinforced armor, or opt for speed to outmaneuver your enemies with a talent point system which can be invested in defense, offense, or support specializations to give you even more options. Your ship will be nothing without your crew, each of which brings unique skills and abilities, and really does look like a swashbuckling good time, and I'm interested to see the reception after all these years. Other games begin with A Webbing Journey, a physics-based sandbox 3D platformer which has gone viral on TikTok a number of times, where you control a charming little spider on a mission to assist their human roommate with oversized chores around a cozy, cluttered home. You can swing, crawl, and weave intricate webs to navigate a sprawling, detailed house where each room presents unique challenges and puzzles, from organizing the kitchen to decorating the living room, all requiring creativity and precision. The interactive environment allows you to manipulate hundreds of objects magnified by the use of your webbing, so there are many different ways to solve the puzzles, with the physics opening up the possibility for hilarity. Of course, you will be able to customize your spider with a number of outfits and cosmetics, looking like a light-hearted fun time. There's a lot going on visually in An Amazing Wizard, a roguelite platformer which stops just short of calling itself a Roguevania title, having a typical amnesiac protagonist setup where you have to battle to seek out answers and reclaim your true name. The main gimmick here is spell crafting, where you can merge spells to create new ones, with the visual feedback looking pretty overwhelming, so much so that it might be difficult to see what is going on. In roguelite fashion, you will have procedurally generated worlds, each more chaotic than the last, as you battle enemies and bosses using a vast array of spells and magic weapons. This will have over 120 unique spells, which can be merged to create even more, as well as more than 200 artifacts and enchantments to further customize your abilities, also having 7 elemental playable wizards to choose from and numerous perks to unlock. So far, so standard for a roguelite. Additionally, they have taken a page out of the Book of Hades in terms of their storytelling, where with each run, you delve deeper into the central mystery, uncover fragments of your lost memories, and piece together the truth behind your powers and the world around you, and could be neat. This week also sees the 1.0 release of Bloodshed, a roguelite first-person shooter inspired by Vampire Survivors, in which you battle the malevolent threat of the cult, whose members are pursuing a sinister plan to resurrect an ancient deity to bring about the apocalypse. Battle countless cultists, undead, demons, and other creatures of the night, and send them back to their graves, with the sheer number of them being similar to a Vampire Survivors style title. Like its inspiration, it will have a diverse roster of playable characters, each with distinct abilities and playstyles, providing plenty of variety, and is a good one of these. The developer of Bonaparte, A Mechanized Revolution did reach out, and I thought that it looked neat, set in an alternate history reimagined 1789 Paris, where steam-powered mechs, known as colossi, reshaped the course of the French Revolution. Interestingly, this is not the first game to mix these ideas, see Steel Rising for example, but this is a turn-based strategy game instead. This intertwines political maneuvering with tactical combat, allowing you to choose between defending the monarchy, reforming it, or embracing radical change. Your decisions influence both the battlefield and the political landscape as you interact with historical figures, each with their own agendas, having to navigate a world map style grand strategy layer as well as more tactical strategy on the battlefield. The dynamic map requires you to manage resources, rally support, and construct colossi to bolster your forces with your ideological choices, resulting in shifts in public sentiment, reflecting the complexities of revolution and will be for fans of the genre. One of the cutest titles of the week is Bugtopia, where you have to take care of a vibrant insect colony nestled within your screen. This relaxing idle simulation game allows you to raise over 300 real-life inspired bugs, each with unique traits and behaviors. Through a simple breeding system, you can create rare species, expanding your collection, and filling up your virtual terrarium with life. Customization is key, giving you access to more than 300 landscaping items and 70 backgrounds, enabling you to design a personalized habitat that evolves over time. There are added features like dynamic weather conditions and time cycles, adding depth to your ecosystem, and for those seeking a blend of productivity and relaxation, this includes a Pomodoro timer and desktop wallpaper mode, allowing you to enjoy your miniature world while still staying focused, with productivity idle games like this really becoming a genre of their own, so let me know in the comments if you would like a list of the best. A promising release this week is Cauldron, in which you play as Nyx, a young witch cast into a mysterious, darkness-covered world, having to explore, uncover the map, and figure out what is going on. This upgrade-heavy, minigame-centric turn-based RPG has an adorable pixel art style, where the main gimmick, of course, is variety, where you have to gather resources by playing various minigames, which you then use to strengthen your party, unlock new heroes, and enhance your abilities. There are a variety of gameplay options, including grinding minigames for resources, an idle mode where you can let the game auto-collect while you're away, or you can go the active route, optimizing party composition and skills in order to inflict maximum damage as you go on the offense, with over 20 heroes, each featuring unique skill trees, as well as supposedly infinitely upgradable minigames, heroes, items, and so on. It looks like quite the intriguing prospect that is just so weird and interesting, being very indie games, and is the hidden gem of the week. City Builder fans, I'm pretty sure that City Tales Medieval Era will be for you. Well, of course, you have to discount the generic sounding title since this looks pretty good. You take on the role of a medieval lord, guiding your kingdom from humble beginnings to sprawling metropolis. City builders often fall in two camps, either on a grid or gridless, with this game being in the latter, allowing you to design districts freely without constraints. It will have over 60 types of buildings and more than 50 resources to manage, meaning that there's plenty to account for in classic city building style, where every decision impacts the growth and prosperity of your settlement. Importantly, there will also be a cast of 9 companions and a narrative element to this game, where these characters can be placed in charge of key production areas and will also have their own stories and missions to complete, looking pretty wonderful even if this theme and genre combination has been done to death. We have begun to see an influx of gambling and adjacent game machine inspired titles in video games, which some people are not entirely comfortable with, since that could be a gateway drug to something much worse, but the argument can be made that as long as there are no exploitative microtransactions, these might be a better alternative. Case in point being Coin Push RPG. You might have seen these coin pusher machines in arcades, in which you are launching coins at the right time to get the pusher to push more coins and even items over the edge, which is the same core mechanic in this game, but with added RPG mechanics. Recruit legendary heroes and assemble a diverse team to tackle various challenges, where coins collected from the pusher are distributed to your heroes, fueling their abilities in combat. It is a semi-idle title, so you can passively farm coins to upgrade your heroes before embarking on a more challenging expedition with various RPG mechanics like gear, stats, and even strategic positioning of heroes in combat, turn-based RPG style, and looks pretty interesting if dangerous as a concept. There have been a number of desktop-based simulation puzzle games over the years, the next of which is Cyber Warrior, where you play as a newly recruited investigator for the Cyber Bureau of Investigation, a federal agency dedicated to solving virtual crimes. Your mission is to track down the notorious hacking group known as the Dark Omega Organization, which has stolen millions from innocent citizens. To succeed, you'll delve into the depths of the internet, gather crucial evidence, hack into suspects' systems, and interrogate individuals to piece together the puzzle. Every decision you make can bring you closer to justice or lead you into a trap, so you need to be vigilant, although this doesn't exactly seem to be realistic and might be more on the puzzle game end of things. I'm not sure if Deliver at All Costs counts as an indie title coming to us from a studio out of Gothenburg, Sweden, with LinkedIn listing them as having 11 to 50 employees, and this game is being published by Konami of all people, but regardless, this action title does look to be of interest. Our main character is Winston Green, a down-on-his-luck courier in the year 1959, having to deliver pieces of unconventional cargo no matter what it takes. It is an isometric action-packed title, but not in the sense of being a top-down shooter, but rather a driving and delivery kind of game, which also has destruction, absurdity, and intrigue. These items range from a giant flailing marlin to a big bomb that is about to go off, with each mission escalating in complexity and lunacy. This game features highly destructible semi-open world environments, allowing you to plow through the city in a variety of vehicles, leaving a trail of havoc in your wake with the option to go on foot if necessary. The citizens of the city will respond to your actions in the most unpredictable ways, and most curiously, this appears to be a linear, narrative-focused title, with the game being divided into 3 acts with a cast of distinct and memorable characters, and is not an arcadey high-score chase kind of title, looking like quite the curiosity, but do note the higher price at $30. Another Vampire Survivors inspired title is Desktop Survivors 98, one which I have a penchant for, since this, of course, uses visual elements from Windows 98, an operating system which I grew up with, so there is nostalgia here for me. Control a cursor and take on waves of enemies, Vampire Survivors style, with an array of powerful upgrades to help, including quirky weapons and upgrades, each offering unique abilities to make you stronger. There's also a meta dungeon crawling element as you hop from folder to folder or click on icons, being a clever twist on the idea, which I'm all about. An intriguing entry is Final Outpost Definitive Edition, where you lead the last survivors of a zombie apocalypse striving to rebuild civilization from the ashes. This survival strategy base builder has you assigning roles, crafting tools, and managing resources as you construct and upgrade over 12 types of buildings, including vital resource storage, production facilities, and housing for new survivors. Defend your settlement against more than 5 types of zombies by training guards, snipers, and building machine guns and watchtowers. Feed your citizens by farming wheat and hunting dwindling deer population, and survive harsh droughts, cold winters, and unforgiving thunderstorms with the simulated weather and seasons. You can also upgrade your citizens' skills to gather, defend, and repair more effectively, and while zombie games are overdone, this does look pretty interesting. A smaller title of note is Flora and Fang, Guardians of the Vampire Garden, where you play as either vampire sibling, Flora or Fang, entrusted with protecting their father Dracula's cherished pumpkin patch from an onslaught of pesky insects. This is a charming single-screen pixel art action platformer that sure looks like the arcade-style titles of old. Think the Mario Bros. Arcade title, Snow Bros, Bubble Bobble, and so on, where you must jump, run, place traps, and use bug spray against the invaders. Earning coins enables you to upgrade your gear and purchase clever, upgradable traps, adding a layer of tower defense strategy to the gameplay. The levels culminate in thrilling boss battles against giant insects, testing your skills, and of course, will have co-op support and looks like fun with a friend. A sweet-looking action roguelite is Garden of Witches, where you play as a determined young witch on a mission to save her beloved garden from impending doom. The garden's current predicament is due to the negligence of her fellow witches, with talks of rounding up these unruly characters as well, so they might be the bosses here, but the gist is that I really like the art, so if you love the genre, you might want to give this a go. Glum has you playing as the titular character, a crude ass-kicking goblin with his magical ass-kicking boot, whose life takes an unexpected turn when his cold-hearted overlord is kidnapped by rival rulers of the realm. Now, you would think that this means pure joy for an overworked and underappreciated minion, but this series of events causes Glum to dust off his old boot and set off on a rescue so that he can get his steady paycheck once again. This is a self-styled first-person booter where kicking things is the main gimmick, used not only on enemies in combat but also in platforming. The physics-based combat is the focus, where you can kick, charge, and launch enemies up in the air in an over-the-top ragdoll fashion, creating satisfying and hilarious moments, enhanced by the Menace style system, which rewards you for creative kills. It's crude in the sense of middle fingers and strong language, with that being heavily sprinkled throughout the game, with the core action looking wacky and fun, but do note that this will be an early access release. I mentioned Gun Switch not too long ago, where this game caught my eye due to the swarms of enemies the game throws at you, but is more of a traditional top-down shooter as compared to a Vampire Survivors style roguelite variant. Set in the heart of Cerberus, a sprawling space prison overrun by demonic alien forces, you command a 4-member robot squad on an escape mission, having to blast your way through. The literal thousands of bullets per second looks satisfying as you mow down enemies by the hundreds, but there is an element of strategy here, allowing you to switch your loadout on the fly to become a more formidable killing machine. With over 30 weapons and 10 types of modifiers, there are plenty of viable options here, with the enemies not just being a mindless swarm, but can and will evolve, growing smarter and more deadly with each wave, and simply has awesome character designs. From the developer of Narita Boy comes Haneda Girl, another action platformer, but one with a noticeably different character proportions and camera zoom level, in which you are attempting to clear the levels, fighting to save the Data Empire from the invasive hacker Knots. You're able to switch between two distinct characters, Hane-chan, a tiny, hyper-agile warrior who excels in close-quarters combat using her katana, and Mother, a towering tactical combat mech equipped with heavy artillery. You're able to approach each encounter in various ways, be it through speed, strategy, or sheer force, with replayability in the form of your choice of character and approach, with a sweet neon pixel art style as well. Of the titles on this list, I am perhaps most skeptical about JDM Japanese Drift Master, since sure, this looks like a cool, drifting-focused racing game which immerses you in the heart of Japan's drifting culture. However, this has an astounding 50,000 followers on Steam and is in the top 50 most wishlisted games, so either there's a huge racing game audience that I'm not aware of, or something is being done to juice the numbers. However, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, with this blending simulation and arcade-style gameplay, having tracks across over 250 kilometers of diverse terrain, from mountain passes to urban streets, as well as a dynamic day-night cycle and weather system. There will be licensed cars as well, from brands like Mazda and Nissan, with a range of customization and tuning options, along with manga-style cutscenes and story, and will be for fans of the genre. I've had my eye on Jumping Jazz Cats for a little while, considering it for my upcoming multiplayer games video, which turned into the co-op games video, so this got left off since this is not co-op but pure multiplayer chaos. Play as a cat navigating the whimsical Ellington Estate, a grand cartoon mansion filled with spiral staircases, chandeliers and hidden nooks, taking part in a variety of mini-games with the other cats. You can race, swing and slide your way to victory with 6 mini-games and 10 original jazz tracks, hence the name. The music is gameplay related, adding rhythm and flair to each match, looking so adorable and fun, with the caveat being that it is probably best with friends, although there is a single player mode with 18 challenges based on the multiplayer levels, rewarding you with medals along the way. Developer Clifftop Games specializes in point-and-click adventure games, with the original Cathy Rain from 2016, a Director's Cut edition in 2021, as well as the excellent Whispers of a Machine from 2019, where we're looking at Cathy Rain 2 Soothsayer here. You reprise the role of the titular character, a sharp-witted private investigator in 1998 Cassidy, a city gripped by fear due to a series of brutal murders attributed to the elusive soothsayer. Struggling financially, Cathy seizes the opportunity presented by a substantial reward for solving the case. This is a point-and-click urban thriller, having you exploring diverse locations, gathering clues, and interrogating a cast of fully voiced characters. Use a revamped notebook system to log findings, connect narrative threads, and solve intricate puzzles that influence the story's progression, with this being their longest title to date and has some awesome pixel art, while also nailing the visual style of old-school titles from the 90s. There are 3 games with the title out of sight on Steam, so you have to double check before buying, where this is an atmospheric horror game that offers a unique second-person perspective, immersing you in a chilling and emotional journey as you navigate the dark, perilous halls of a creepy mansion. Play as Sophie, a blind young girl who has mysteriously gained the ability to see through the eyes of her beloved teddy bear, which is helpful since she has to escape her captors and a dark mansion. Danger lurks around every corner, where one misplaced step, a creaking floorboard, or an unexpected bump could spell capture and an uncertain fate, with the look and vibe of course resembling Little Nightmares, but with some first-person segments mixed in, looking very creepy. Up and down the indie roller coaster we go here with Poco, a very charming point-and-click adventure game where you guide this 2-inch tall clown who has been banished from a giant walking circus and left to navigate the perilous below world. This blends 2D and 3D, allowing you to explore a beautifully cluttered environment where forgotten and discarded items from the above world decay. Your main mission is to build a rocket to return home, having to befriend and enlist the help of the local homunculi in order to do so. This has your classic point-and-click adventure game style puzzles of finding key items and combining or using them at the right spots, having a very charming art style, and the best part is that this will be free, so no harm giving it a go. I like developer Afterburn, who specializes in puzzle games, with Golf Peaks being pretty good, and they are back with Pup Champs, in which you are a retired soccer coach guiding a team of clumsy yet determined puppies through a series of tactical puzzles to score goals and win matches. This cozy puzzle game features over 130 handcrafted challenges that requires strategic planning and clever maneuvers, and in puzzle game fashion, will have escalating puzzles and hazards, including mud puddles, mischievous monkeys, and bunnies which react to your passes, all of which you need to figure out if you want to score the goal. This looks so cute and does have a heartwarming story of friendship and teamwork as well, and is a must-get for puzzle game fans. A not-so-indie title is Roadcraft, coming to us from Saber Interactive, who really have this realistic vehicle simulator thing down pat, having made titles like Mud Runner and Snow Runner, which naturally leads us to this game. You lead a disaster recovery company tasked with restoring regions devastated by natural disasters. use a fleet of over 40 types of vehicles, including bulldozers, cranes, and asphalt pavers, to clear debris, rebuild infrastructure, and revitalize local industries. The game features 8 expansive maps, each about 4 square kilometers in size, set in diverse biomes such as mountains, deserts, and coastal areas. There is an advanced physics engine where every object in the environment interacts realistically, allowing you to manipulate materials like wood, sand, and asphalt to reshape the terrain, plot routes for transport convoys, manage resources, and recycle debris into usable materials, which is where the larger strategy layer comes in. And if the other 2 titles mentioned earlier are anything to go by, this should be awesome. A game coming out of Singapore is Sedap, a culinary adventure, so a special shoutout goes to them, being a co-op focused cooking action-adventure title that looks pretty fun. Play as Som, a talented chef, and Gon, a resourceful hunter, as they embark on a culinary journey through the perilous Kaya Island. Venture out to explore vibrant biomes, gather exotic ingredients, and fight ferocious creatures, and then prepare delectable dishes inspired by Southeast Asian cuisine. The duo's food truck serves as their base of operations, where they craft meals like pineapple fried rice, chicken rice, and bubble tea to satisfy the island's inhabitants. As you venture deeper into the island, you uncover more of its mysteries and encounter mythical creatures and secrets, with the co-op focus being of note, alternating between Som's cooking expertise and Gon's hunting skills, where food is a pretty central part of culture in this part of the world, so it's wonderful to see it being referenced in a game like this. On paper, one of the most popular titles of the week is Survive the Fall, set in the world forever altered by a cataclysmic meteor strike which has brought humanity to the brink of extinction. As the leader of a group of survivors, you must navigate a vast open world filled with dangers, secrets, and valuable resources. The game seamlessly blends exploration, combat, and base building elements, with the option for real-time with pause combat, but you can also choose the stealthy approach. Expeditions into the wilderness or ruined cities yield essential materials, which you can bring back to your settlement to craft weapons, research new technologies, and expand your base. Managing your followers' health and morale is crucial, with this having 3 distinct biomes to explore, narrative choices to make, and multiple endings as well. Developer Strange Scaffold is one of the most interesting indie developers in the space right now, with games in genres all over the place and taking on all kinds of work, including, strangely enough, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown, a licensed game in the form of a turn-based beat-em-up. Play as the iconic Turtles as they confront new threats and navigate the challenges of growing up. Both Splinter and Shredder are gone, and the Turtles face a powerful new leader rising within the Foot Clan, combining strategic gameplay with the beloved characters and humor that the series is known for. Each turtle has their own mini-campaign, showcasing unique movesets and abilities, with 20 dynamic levels that evolve with each turn and a cool look. Another promising upcoming title is The Mosquito Gang, an asymmetric multiplayer title that pits humans against mosquitoes. In this world, the humans have developed a potent mosquito repellent, and the stakes are high, since if released, it could obliterate the mosquitoes once and for all. Play as one of 4 elite mosquitoes, with your mission being to infiltrate human spaces, drain their blood, and evolve mid-battle using a roguelite system that grants abilities like invisibility, teleportation, and team healing. Alternatively, you can play as the last human defender, armed with an arsenal of weapons and gadgets to fend off the swarm. Asymmetric multiplayer titles did have their time in the sun, see the ongoing popularity of Dead by Daylight for example, so this certainly has potential, with it being a common enough scenario for us but has not been captured in games, so there is the potential for virality here. An interesting cyberpunk turn-based dungeon crawling RPG is Twilight Wars, set in a world where mega corporations have overthrown governments, plunging the world into corporate anarchy. As the sole survivor of the once powerful anonymous arbitration agency, Your mission is to rebuild said organization and to restore balance. Guided by the agency's sentient AI, you must assemble a team of elite operatives, each with unique skills and complex personalities, to undertake covert missions against these corporate giants. This has turn-based tactical combat, with, I believe, the turn order being presented to you on screen, so you need to be strategic about which enemy to target and which abilities to use. Decisions made during missions and dialogue can influence the story, with your base serving as a hub for training, research and recovery, evolving as you progress. I'm not sure what happens if you fail a mission, whether it's Darkest Dungeon style punishing and you permanently lose characters, or if it is a restart at last save point kind of situation, or do you simply respawn at base with or without penalty. But if you love turn-based RPGs, this should be of note. Long-time indie game fans might be familiar with developer Jesse Makonnen, best known for the Distraint series of games, and he is back this week with Without a Dawn, a horror visual novel where you step into the shoes of a woman seeking solace in a secluded cabin, hoping to escape the relentless noise of her mind. However, the profound silence and isolation only amplifies her distress, as the eerie sound of the cold wind weaving through the trees keeps her awake, and in the dark stillness of the night, this silence begins to take on a physical form. This dark, psychological and philosophical title features hauntingly beautiful pseudo-ASCII art and immerses you in a gripping narrative that blurs the line between reality and fiction, looking pretty freaky but compelling. So many games already, but I have saved the best for last, beginning with Nitro Express, a pixel art action platformer that looks awesome, in which our heroine is a member of the atypical vehicle disposal squad in Nitro City, tasked with taking down drones that threaten the peace. This is a 2D side-scrolling run-and-gun action game which equips you with a vast arsenal of assault weapons, including grenades and EMPs, as you engage in high-octane battles against these mechanical menaces. It has a 360 degrees free aiming system, allowing you to target enemies from any direction, but you can also stop to improve your aim, adding depth to the combat mechanics. You will also gain access to various gadgets and vehicles that enhance your combat capabilities, looking like an evolution of the Metal Slug run-and-gun concept with a killer visual style. Farming game fans, Tales of Seikyu will be of note, one with a Japanese mythology and anime influence, in which you embark on a journey to restore a countryside inn on the mystical island of Seikyu, a realm where yokai and humans coexist. You are doing farming sim stuff like cultivating crops, raising livestock and crafting items, all while uncovering the secrets of your ancestral lineage. However, the twist is that you can transform into various yokai forms, such as a boar to till the soil, a slime to dive underwater, or a crow tengu to soar through the skies, each offering unique abilities to aid in your adventures, including combat. As you interact with the island's diverse inhabitants, you can build relationships and even pursue romantic connections, with multiple eligible bachelors and bachelorettes available, also having seasonal events, festivals, and all the bells and whistles expected for a game like this, looking very promising but will be an early access release. We also have the 1.0 release of Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon, a first-person open-world RPG set in a dark reimagination of Arthurian legends, where the once glorious Avalon is now trapped in perpetual autumn. Explore a decaying world filled with mythical creatures, ancient ruins, and a pervasive sense of decay, having a complex, branching main storyline where your choices significantly impact the world and its inhabitants. You can engage in combat using a variety of weapons and magic, craft items, and interact with over 250 NPCs across 3 expansive regions, also having survival elements such as managing hunger and exposure to the weirdness, a primordial force of chaos that alters reality. Among other additions, this 1.0 release will also add a third-person camera, with it being compared to Oblivion in spots, not exactly the best timing given the surprise release of that remaster, but if you want something with a different flavour, This will certainly be of interest. It has already gained over 4,400 Steam reviews in the 2+ years of early access and looks to be only onwards and upwards from here. This next title absolutely crushed it with its playable prologue demo, generating a huge number of wishlists as a result, which makes Tinkerlands one of the more hotly anticipated titles of the week. This is a sandbox crafting title, think Terraria, but with another perspective, where you find yourself stranded on a mysterious archipelago, where survival hinges on your ingenuity and courage. Gather resources and craft tools, build settlements and explore vibrant islands teeming with magic and danger. Encounter over 10 formidable bosses, each guarding unique loot and crafting materials, and engage in activities like fishing, farming, and cooking. The islands are procedurally generated, with co-op support and wonderful pixel art looking kind of like Core Keeper in concept, but on islands instead of underground, and could be huge. My favourite roguelite deck builder is the original Monster Train, so I am very excited for Monster Train 2. Having a story where the Titans are now threatening heaven and the unlikely alliance between angels and demons results in new clans and units to choose from, retaining their signature multi-floor combat system but adding new elements like room and equipment cards, as well as the Covenant Outpost, which is a central hub area for upgrades and might just be among the best games of the year. The month of May closes off very strongly with a game starring the voice of Arthur Morgan, some fantastic strategic roguelites, cozy games, action titles and more. So let's begin with Section 13, an action roguelite twin-stick shooter set within a secret underground facility. You play as an agent of the S2P Corporation, tasked with investigating a crisis at this top-secret base, battling anomalies while uncovering layers of a complex conspiracy involving the paranormal and rogue technology. Combat is frenetic, requiring precise dodge rolls and timely reloads, with a variety of weapon unlocks and synaptic enhancements, which will be releasing out of early access after slightly less than 2 years. If the internet has taught me anything, players love to be threatened by a female character, see Slay the Princess or Me-Side for example, with the next game that looks to do so being Seiko Gigantus Dating Sim. You are a tiny character no taller than a thumb, living in a desk drawer under the watchful eye of a mysterious giant girl. By day, distribute items to your fellow tiny inhabitants to keep their health and appeal levels up so that they can stay alive, and by night, engage in tense conversations with Seiko, responding with simple yes or no answers, where a wrong choice could be fatal, where I presume you will get squished like a bug and might be huge, pun unintended. One of the most interesting roguelites that I have my eye on is Soul Sesto, theoretically a turn-based dungeon crawler where you are a hero and descend through the layers of an ever-changing dungeon in search of the missing sun. However, each move is a roll of the dice, since a 4x4 grid is presented to you and you can only choose one of the 4 rows to explore, but you don't have a choice of the exact room, where it can be a monster, a treasure or a trap, leading to interesting strategy implications. Of course, you can tip the odds in your favour by using cursed teeth and magical items, altering the rules, but you might just unleash new perils as well. As you delve deeper, the dungeon's biomes change, introducing unique monsters and hazards that test your strategy, being an interesting mix of tactics and luck. There will be a variety of characters to unlock and play as, along with a simple but effective art style, and certainly stands out in this genre. Our first cozy title of the week, and there are a lot of them, is Dragon Song Tavern Cozy and Adventurous, a farming life sim title which invites you to a seaside haven where you and your sibling run a tavern with a baby dragon. You plant crops, go fishing, and gather rare ingredients from magical lands. Each day, you cook meals, brew potions, and serve guests with unique stories. Your companions can help to manage the tavern and will even join you on quests, each bringing their own skills to the table. Most interestingly, you can go out into the world to explore, visiting 8 adventure maps, each filled with unique ingredients, fish, and plants, with there being a turn-based combat system as well, meaning that there's more of an RPG slant to this game. The world seems to be very charming, with an array of character customization options, as well as the ability to decorate your tavern, and looks like it's for fans of the genre. This week also sees the release of To A T, the next title from developer Keita Takahashi and team, best known for the Katamari games, as well as the whimsical Watam, with this looking to be in a similar vein. You play as a teenager whose body is stuck in a rigid T pose, being a cheeky reference to video game bugs, but might have interesting implications in this world. Set in a quaint seaside town, our main character has to go about living their daily life despite this unique condition. This includes exploring the town on foot or by train, or even on their favourite unicycle, where everyday activities like brushing teeth requires innovative solutions. There's a charming cast of characters, including your loyal, fluffy canine companion and caring mother, to a giraffe that makes scrumptious sandwiches, each adding to the world and narrative. There's a central plot about a mysterious object enveloped in light that falls from the sky, with the narrative unfolding over several in-game days, looking also adorable and should be neat. Other games begins with Automated Factory Puzzle, a subset of the Factory Builder title, since you are not constructing endlessly expanding automated production systems, but rather self-contained levels with size, power, and time constraints. Build factories using the familiar conveyor belts, but also pipes and elevators, having to optimize your layout for maximum efficiency. Each level is a self-contained puzzle, and as you progress, you'll encounter new obstacles and discover innovative solutions, with the ultimate goal of transforming raw materials into finished products, where inverting what other factory builders are going for is smart, and I'm interested to see the reception to this. A third-person arena action shooter of interest is Code Zin Esper Arena, set within the Netsphere, a vast virtual realm where combat is king and glory awaits. As an Esper, you enter arenas to test your reflexes and strategy in fast-paced combat, using up to 3 weapons and a unique ability as you customize your loadout to match your playstyle. There is a focus on mobility, positioning, and strategy as you make your way around the arena, with a variety of maps as well as the anime-inspired visuals adding to the presentation. Modes like Team Deathmatch and Touchdown are available, with each new match offering a new opportunity to refine your tactics and rise through the ranks. And in case it wasn't clear, this is online PvP only, so of course the worry will be player population. Another very anime looking title is Koneru Dimension Go, a 2D action platformer where you, a combat android, ends up being merged and sharing a body with Koneru, a mysterious dimensional girl. And in case that sounded weird, this is from a Japanese developer, which means that some of the terms might be strangely translated. Your two characters must thus work together in order to fend off a mysterious alien group known as the Hateful Fruit Company, running, jumping, dashing, and using both melee and ranged attacks on your enemies. Koneru's mood swings influences your combat style, altering her beam attacks and unlocking new powers when she is elated, where collecting comics or indulging in sweets can boost her spirits even further, triggering the accelerating run mode where speed and power surge dramatically. This is also framed as a date between the two characters, but plays as a platformer, being a very interesting mix of ideas. After a little bit of a delay, we have the release of Craft Fantasy Merchant Simulator, one that comes to us from the developer of Death and Taxes, and looks to be a similar narrative-focused choose-your-own-adventure game. Run a shop in a cozy port town where magic and metal meet, playing as a smith or a jeweler, crafting gear for the locals, having to attend to odd requests, and perhaps even develop relationships with the other characters. You might forge a sword using dragon blood, or to design a necklace for a mermaid where each handcrafted piece can change someone's fate. Customize your own character from moth, elf or cat, with your workshop reflecting your style. The crafting isn't just clicking buttons in a menu, but has a tactical feel to the design as you arrange the pieces yourself and go through every step of the process, looking to be somewhere in the same space as Tavern Talk or Strange Horticulture and should be neat. Meta video games talking about game development do kind of lose me sometimes, with Debugging Hero giving you such a peek behind the curtain when the numbers and math behind a video game takes center stage. Armed with a legendary sword and the power to manipulate variables, you don't just fight, you rewrite the rules of engagement mid-battle. Use cards that add, subtract or multiply stats to boost your strength, weaken foes or even turn enemies into allies by reducing their hostility to 0, turning the tide of battle to your advantage, with limitations of course. This variable manipulation extends to dungeons as well, since you can alter trap delays, nullify projectile damage, and outsmart any obstacle, looking like a cerebral kind of action-adventure game where I'm interested to see how far this concept gets pushed, and hey, who knows, might just get some people interested in game development. Alright, this next title is technically not an indie game, since Fuga Melodies of Steel 3 comes to us from CyberConnect 2, which is a big company, but yet a turn-based RPG with tanks and anthropomorphic animals can be pretty niche. This is the conclusion of a series that goes back to 2021, and while the developer says that you don't need to have played the first or second game, I think it definitely helps. With it, understandably so, suffering as most sequels tend to do, with the first title being the most popular and declining from there. The protagonist of the first two games, Malt, has disappeared, which results in the rest of the children going on a desperate mission to commandeer the colossal Tyrannus tank once thought lost on this rescue mission. This journey leads them through the Burman Empire's treacherous terrain, confronting formidable foes known as the Crimson Knights. The turn-based combat is the central focus, having something known as weakness combos, which exploit enemy vulnerabilities for escalating damage, as well as assist attacks that bring unexpected allies into the fray. However, the gimmick of the original game is that you can sacrifice your character by loading them as ammo into the tank for a super-powered attack, leading to heart-wrenching choices, with no mention of that on the Steam page for the third entry, so we'll have to see, but it's certainly of interest to fans of the genre. An ultra-cozy title inspired by the likes of Islanders, Dorfromantic and Townscaper is Islands and Trains, a stress-free island sandbox which invites you to craft your dream railway line, design a train route around the island and watch your diorama come to life. Go off the beaten track, winding around mountains and crossing lakes, placing animals down and customizing the surrounding countryside to your liking. There are no goals, no timers, no missions, and no mistakes, being more of an interactive toy that looks to re-invoke a sense of childlike wonder and play. Oftentimes, the critique is that these products are not really games in the traditional sense, since there is no lose condition, but I'm glad that experiences like this exist since they can be really relaxing. A title which is just cool is Jump the Track, where you play as Sam, a young dreamer struggling in the gig economy, where dead-end jobs and existential dread collide with a pachinko machine of fate. Sound intriguing? This blends visual novel storytelling with pachinko or pego-like boards, where launching a ball onto the board results in your narrative choices being made, determining the next twist in Sam's unpredictable journey. I love the hand-drawn art style here, with it supposedly having sharp humor as well, all around a theme that might be all too real for you young people in the audience around societal pressure and personal ambition. There is quite the quirky and interesting cast of characters who should add to the world, with the option to rebel against the system or to play it safe, with the character's fate resting in your hands, and if done right, could be one of those games that really makes you think and is the hidden gem of the week. Developer Doot has somewhat of a signature art style of leaning in the super cute direction, and their latest release is Kabuto Park, where bug catching becomes an art and tiny battles hold grand stakes. Play as Hana, a spirited girl on summer break, spending your days swinging a net to collect over 40 unique insects, including beetles, butterflies, bees, and dragonflies, all rendered in charming hand-drawn detail. Each catch isn't just for show, these critters become your champions in the summer beetle battles, engaging in delightful sumo-style matches, so basically Pokemon. There is a strategy to the combat, with each bug contributing cards to your deck, where your goal is to push opponents out of the ring. Victory isn't solely about strength, but more about choosing the right combination of bugs and timing your moves. Increase your chances of winning by feeding your insects candies to level them up, and upgrade your gear like boots and nets to access new areas and encounter rarer species. I absolutely love the art style here, so like I said, it's an excellent week for cozy games. Shifting things in terms of vibes is Missing Banban, a spin-off of the viral first-person horror game series where Garden of Banban continues to be extremely popular even if it isn't my thing. This game, however, might be more my speed, where you play as a character known as Sheriff Toadster, who has to rescue your missing friend in a world gone mad. This is a 2D side-scrolling action platformer which mixes tight platforming with chaotic shootouts, letting you dash, wall climb, and blast through this insane-looking world. Each level is a gauntlet of traps and twisted foes, from haunted forests to neon-lit factories, with familiar characters now being turned into monstrous bosses, and defeating them might be the only way to bring them back. Collect quirky weapons and unlock special abilities as the progression system in this game, helping you out in later levels, where I'm not sure where this ends up on the spectrum of difficulty, but it's interesting to see a game in this series in another genre. Classic point-and-click adventure game fans, Nier Mage will be the title for you this week. Coming to us from the developer of Gibbous, a Cthulhu adventure, and they have nailed the visual style of the games from the 90s. You play as a teenager, discovering your heritage, spending the summer in Transylvania, just to find out that you come from a long line of witches and can now enroll in the Transylvanian Institute for Magic, a place filled with mythical creatures and ancient secrets. Here, you study various types of magic, crafting spells that can alter the lives of those around you, giving you more options in the point-and-click adventure game fashion that does not simply involve using key items on another. This of course adds to the role-playing element of the game, giving you options and possibly multiple endings as you decide on what to do in each playthrough, since the spells themselves can be crafted and there is a build, so to speak, which you can work towards. As such, while it retains many of the same roots as the classics, they are doing something different which should be commended, with some absolutely fantastic looking art and animation. Speaking of classic genres, the 3D platformer is another hallowed style of game that isn't all that common these days, so if you have been itching for one of these, Paper Clay will be of interest. Explore this handcrafted realm where cardboard cliffs and paper trees fold and twist beneath your feet. Guide Chick and his sidekick Nugget through this tactile world made of clay, paper, and glue, where every surface can be flipped, rotated, or unfolded to reveal hidden paths. Each area introduces new mechanics like ground pound switches or time-limited orb trails that keep you guessing and grinning as you explore this charming world. Meet quirky characters and engage in classic collectathon-style gameplay with an all-star voice cast and musical talent as well, looking to nail the feel from the golden age of 3D platformers and looks fun. I want to give a special mention to Sector Unknown Prologue, a free demo version of a story-rich CRPG which places you on the desolate planet Makul and where survival hinges on your choices. You escape a doomed prison transport, crash landing on this planet, and must transform a derelict mining facility into a secure base. engage with local factions as allies or enemies as you uncover the dark secrets of the oppressive Star Frontier Corporation operating in the uncharted Null sector. Combat is turn-based, but diplomacy and strategic planning can offer alternative paths to success. The option is yours, whether it comes to brute force, cunning negotiation, or technological prowess, looking like quite the prospect, so certainly give this prologue a try if interested. In the early days of this channel, I came across a title named War Tau back in 2018. A turn-based tactics title on a hex grid with tabletop miniature-inspired units where the developer has been chugging along and is releasing Successor this week. This is a roguelite strategy adventure game that blends real-time and turn-based tactics. You command a party of heroes adventuring across procedurally generated kingdoms, each filled with unique challenges and secrets. At the start of each campaign, you choose from one of 3 distinct lords, each offering different combat styles and skill trees. Building a balanced team of heroes is essential, as each member brings unique strengths to the battlefield. Combat is on a hex grid and looks tactical, but allows you to pause the action at any moment, enabling precise control over your team's ability during critical focus moments. As you progress, you unlock new heroes, equipment and abilities for the next run, looking quite pretty as well, so if you love tactical titles, this will be of interest. Another interesting release this week is The Rewinder 2, the follow-up to a point-and-click adventure game from 2021, which has over 6,500 Steam reviews, so one would think that you would do more of the same in the sequel, but instead, the developer has changed genres and made it a Zelda-style action-adventure game instead. Set in a world drawing upon Eastern mythology, you play as the last known Rewinder, wielding divine powers and exploring haunted villages to unravel the dreams that ensnare lost souls. The 3/4 view introduces spatial puzzles which were not there in the original, and also adds combat, so I'm not sure how that is going to play out as you acquire mystical runes and charms, granting you abilities to face formidable bosses and navigate treacherous dungeons. Each region, from snow-laden peaks to ancient temples, teem with mystery and secrets waiting to be uncovered, where you will encounter supernatural creatures, collectively termed Yao Guai. Along the way, each with their own stories to tell, some seeking friendship, others confrontation. The pixel art appears to be much more refined as compared to the original, looking quite good, with early reviews being positive and might be worth a look. We also have the 1.0 release of Trash Goblin, another merchant simulator title this week, which is higher than usual, where you play as a goblin, taking deliveries of bags of craft and then having to unearth curios by chipping away at them with your tools, scrubbing, cleaning, and then upcycling them into treasures for a cast of interesting customers. The unearthed items can be combined in imaginative ways, creating thousands of unique variations. Your workshop can be upgraded, increasing the size of your space, getting better tools, and to decorate and customize the shop to your liking. Eventually, you might be able to move to more upmarket locations and to find more demanding customers there, with the 1.0 launch including a full story campaign, 33 NPCs, each with their own unique quest lines, a Trinketpedia which catalogues all items found, and much more, looking like quite the cozy, relaxing experience. The developer of Kettle Country managed to secure the voice actor of Arthur Morgan for the game and led their marketing with that, being the perfect match for this Western-themed farming life sim title. Set on the frontier, carve out a life of your own from scratch, beginning as a lone pioneer, setting up camp on the edge of a rugged town nestled in the mountains. Each day offers choices: till the soil, raise cattle, or venture into the wild to hunt and gather. The land is rich with resources, but also fraught with danger, with bandits and not so friendly neighbours to deal with. Forge relationships with the townsfolk, some of whom may become more than friends, as you help them and uncover their stories. Your homestead evolves as you build, craft and customize, reflecting your journey and decisions made. There are also classic Western tropes like gunfights and train robberies, looking to be a very focused, themed version of the general farming sim that we have come to know and love, where the unique theme is its strength and looks like a hit. What is old is new again in Void War, a roguelite strategy title that sure looks like FTL faster than light, but where it has been 13 years since the game, so maybe the timing is perfect for a new generation. Your ship is both sanctuary and a weapon, as you helm this ancient relic of power, outfitting it with arcane modules and devastating weapons to survive relentless assaults from cultists, pirates and imperial zealots as you make your way to the heart of a dying empire. There are definitely some Warhammer 40k vibes from this, due to factions like the Techno-Cultist Magi, Imperial Deserters, Demon Lords and more, which you can somehow recruit onto your ship as crew, being extremely helpful in the combat scenarios. FTL fans should be familiar with the combat, but in case you are not, you need manpower to man the various stations like weapons, shields or engines, where charged up weapons fire on the enemy ship, but enemy attacks on your vessel can cause things like fires on board, which you then need to send a crew member to deal with. There should be some sort of resource or fuel system which forces you to explore, along with random events and choices to be made, looking like quite the tribute, but does its own thing and is one of the most wishlisted games on Steam for good reasons. I love fishing in games, which is why Nice Day for Fishing got my attention, one which casts you into the pixelated world of Azurim, where Balin, a once humble fisherman NPC, now shoulders the fate of the town of Honeywood after the heroes of the realm mysteriously vanish. Set off on an unexpected adventure, wielding a fishing rod as your primary weapon and your boat as a means of transportation and exploration. Fishing is of course central to the game, with a variety of fish to catch, but this also extends to combat against bosses, where I'm very curious to see how this will work out. As an RPG, you can upgrade your gear, allowing your tackle to reach deeper, for example, gaining access to hidden caves for more powerful upgrades and items. There's also resource gathering, allies to add to your party, and even powerful spells to unlock, being a full-on RPG experience with a fishing theme. This also comes to us from YouTube channel and sketch comedy troupe Viva La Dirt League, with over 7 million subscribers, being a significant amount of marketing muscle behind this game. Strategy game fans, the title of the week has to be As We Descend, a roguelite deck builder with a fantastic presentation set in the last city of humankind, where every card you play could tip the balance between survival and ruin. The city is descending deeper and deeper into the ground, and you need to command squads to fight off waves of enemies. Each unit adds unique cards to your deck, with the right mix of units being critical to tackle what is coming. Combat looks intriguing, with the guard and support zones to contend with, where you can move units between these two areas, which adds to the strategy. As you descend through 3 distinct biomes, you'll face titanic foes and uncover secrets that reshape your understanding of this world. Also, the battlefield isn't your only concern, since within the city walls, political intrigue, competing factions and resource scarcity demand your attention, forcing you to make tough decisions which affect your allies and your mission. The city also looks to be the central hub for meta progression upgrades, with each new run offering new units, unlocks and challenges. Back to action titles with this game, last seen in my video on the best upcoming action-adventure titles, where Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo is a self-styled Yo-Yo-vania, where our hero explores the city, reclaiming territory from rival crime lords across more than 1,000 screens. This looks very GBA inspired and is a throwback to 2D Zelda games, but with some interesting looking combat and traversal. But my god, how great does this game look? Watch this video for the action adventure games video that I was talking about.